You're stuck at home wondering, how is it possible you have all these injuries? You have so much time on your hands because of this pandemic where nobody's working. Everybody's working from home. Everybody's home, but you are home. Why? Because you can no longer physically work. Why not? You believe it's because a doctor was careless. And all you hear on the news is pandemic this, coronavirus this, COVID that. And you're thinking, wait a second. What would happen if, in fact, your doctor was careless, causing you all these injuries before the pandemic showed up? Are you able to go ahead and actually bring a lawsuit now, while we're in lockdown, while we're in quarantine? You want to know the answer? Come join me on this socially distant, socially appropriate video today, through the neighborhood, through this walk through the neighborhood, as I explain the answer to your question. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Okay, you've got plenty of time on your hands now. A lot of people do. We're all at home, unless you're out for a walk in the middle of a beautiful day today, regardless of what's going on with this pandemic, this crazy world today. And you're thinking, I think my doctor was careless. I think the only reason why I have these problems today are because of what the doctor did or didn't do. And now you're thinking, you know what? I see all these commercials for lawyers. I see all these things, these advertisements for attorneys. I wonder if maybe I have a valid case against my doctor. And you're thinking, wait a second. Did you know that the court system has come to a screeching halt? No courts are open, which means nothing is happening as far as attorneys being able to go forward and start lawsuits right now. Everything has come to a halt. Lawyers are not in their offices. Instead, we're all working from home. We are all quarantined, unless, of course, you're out for a nice walk on a beautiful day like today, and you're practicing appropriate social distancing. And thankfully, there's nobody around, which is great. Now, normally I'd have my mask on, I'd have my gloves on, but for right now, I wanted to share this great information with you. Okay, so now you're thinking, I believe that somebody was careless, causing me harm and injury, and I think it was my doctor. And you're also thinking, wait a second, I also know that there are strict time limits in which to go ahead and bring a lawsuit. Can I call an attorney now to see whether or not I have a valid case? The answer is yes. Even though the courts are not working, even though we are not permitted to file any documents with the courts right now, the reality is that most lawyers are actually still working from home, which means we can still chat with you on the phone. We can have video conferences with you. We can learn details about what happened and then make a determination, make a decision about whether or not we think you might have a valid basis for a case. And you're thinking, okay, well, what happens if an attorney does think that you have a good case? Can you go ahead and get it started right now? The answer is no, for a number of reasons. The first reason is that unlike a car accident case or a trip and fall case, even if this were normal times, an attorney who handles medical malpractice cases would not be able to file a medical malpractice case on your behalf immediately after talking to him. That's not how it works. That's not how any of it works. And you might be wondering, all right, how does it work? Well, I'll tell you how it works. And this way it'll give you a sense of what has to happen during this lockdown quarantine time to determine whether or not you actually have a case. You see, we are required to have a medical expert review all your records to determine whether or not you actually have a valid case. And that does a number of things. It only allows cases that have merit into the court system. So even though the courts are not functioning right now, we still have the ability to talk with you and decide whether or not we're going to investigate your matter. If an attorney chooses to investigate your matter, what that means is that they will obtain a lot of information from you, in this case by phone or by video chat. Then we will make arrangements to obtain your medical records. Now that means that we have to get your medical records and read each and every page of them. We have to familiarize ourselves with exactly what happened to you and why. Then we are required to send those records out to a medical expert to determine three things. Number one, was your doctor careless? Did he violate the basic standards of medical care? Yes or no? If the answer is no, there's no way we can help, and we will come back and tell you that we cannot help you. If our expert says, yes, your doctor was careless, he did violate the basic standards of medical care, then the doctor will have to determine the second question. Was his carelessness a cause of your injury? If the answer is no, then again, we have to come back to you and tell you, I'm sorry, we can't help you. We don't believe you have a case. But if the answer is yes, that there is a connection, a link, a bridge between the doctor's carelessness and your injury, Now we have to go and answer the third question, or our expert has to answer that third question. And the third question is, are your injuries significant? Are they permanent? Are they disabling? If the answer is no, it's highly unlikely you're going to get an experienced attorney to be able to help you. If the answer is yes, that your injuries are significant, they are disabling, they are permanent, then now you have a valid basis for a case. And then we can come back to you and tell you, yes, our expert has confirmed that you have a good case. And what does that mean? It means we will go ahead and prepare the papers necessary in order to start your lawsuit. But because we are in the middle of this lockdown, everybody is socially distant, right? And the courts are not functioning right now, we will then have to wait until the courts are up and running again. Only then would we be able to file a lawsuit on your behalf. So, getting back to the title of this video, can you go ahead and determine whether or not you have a valid basis for a case, even though everything has pretty much come to a halt? The answer is yes, you can. And also, you should not delay. You should not wait. Why? Because ultimately, if you wait, the time in which you have to file a lawsuit may run out. And you never want to be in that position. You always want to learn whether or not your matter is timely. And if it is, you want to know how much time you have in order to file. And then we have to take into consideration, okay, what do we do next? You know, I realize you're likely watching this video because you wanted to see the beautiful scenery today in a world that's going crazy. No, I realize that's not why you watched this video today, but because you had questions about your own matter. Well, this is important. This is really important. Only if you believe the wrongdoing happened before the pandemic occurred, before the lockdown and before the quarantine, and you think all your injuries are related to events that occurred before then, and you have questions, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. Because in that instance, we can go ahead and chat with you and to see whether or not you have a valid basis for a case. But if this happened because of what's going on with the pandemic and the coronavirus, now it's a different story. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you stay safe. Any questions about medical malpractice or accident matters that happened here in New York before the pandemic started, I encourage you to pick up the phone and call me. Have a safe and wonderful day.